Where are you from, Mum?
I'm from France.
Why did you move away from your home country?
Because I was studying English, I was at university, and I met an Englishman who came to live in the university town where I was studying. But then after a few years he left, so I left with him. And also I didn't want to become a teacher in France, so that's why I left, to follow him and do something else.
How old were you when you immigrated?
I was 22.
Were you sad?
No, I was not sad. It was a new adventure.
Did you enjoy living in a different country?
The first year I was studying, and it was a little bit difficult because although I was studying English, I was a bit shy, and when I was at university I never really spoke the language. I could write English quite well, but I was not very good at speaking it. So it was a little bit of a struggle because I could not really say what I wanted to say for a year or so.
Do you think you learned anything by immigrating?
Well, I learned to cook on my own. I learned a new culture.
Did you intend to return to your home country eventually?
To live, I don't think so. Or perhaps when I retire. I always go back at Christmas, except this year, and in the summer. And I'm always happy to go back. But let's say that I don't want to work there because I don't want to be a teacher in France. I'm not interested.
Why?
Why? Why don't I want to be a teacher in France? Because in France, teachers only teach, and there is no pastoral care. They don't really get to know their pupils. They just go to their classroom to deliver their lesson, and then they go back home. So that's not what I want to do.
What do you miss the most?
What do I miss the most? The food, my parents, my brother and sister, although my brother has also emigrated to Morocco, so even if I were in France, I would not see him that much.
What did you find most challenging?
Well, I told you the language, and after living for 9 years in England, I left England to move to another country, which was China, not Hong Kong yet, but I moved to Shanghai, where I lived for 8 years. For here or there, the language was more of a problem because I arrived not knowing anything, and I left not knowing much. So it was quite frustrating not being able to talk to people. For example, you were brought up by, when I was at work, by a lady who was extremely nice. She was like a grandmother to you, but I've never been able to have a conversation with her because I had very little time to learn Mandarin, and she was not speaking Mandarin, she was speaking Shanghainese, so we could not really communicate with each other. So that was what was difficult.
Okay, Mom.